It's almost that, right? Everybody knows. I don't even know.
So thank you, Julie, for the parking lot sale. She did a great job organizing it. Again, she's a gem.
And also, thank God, Gourmet for God. We went to Robert's house last night and had some gourmet. It was really nice. Good job,
Adrian.
Adrian. Yeah. So
Top chef Adrian over there.
vegetarian. I don't know.
All sorts of wonderful things.
7
Stuffed
entrees. Okay,
mushrooms.
we're. I guess we're ready. We're.
Are we ready?
Well, that's what I just been told, but the video is not working. But anyway.
Okay, the
we're
video's
up.
working.
Now we're. See, I knew it. I knew it.
You guys ready?
I folded
You
off.
gonna help me sing?
So at this time, we'd like to start the service with a song called "This Is the Day." If you'd please rise, they'll have the words up on the screen, and please sing with us because it really brings up the spirit.
Yes.
Okay. So
Let's do it.
And when Karen comes out, give her the big ones. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Reverend Karen Rice. I'm sorry.
65.
Here we are.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Sing that with me. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day, a day to be seized, a day I can feel my spirit set free. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and higher in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day all my dreams come true. Can feel Spirit working its way through. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and higher in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it.
All right, good morning. I see that Rod had made a really good welcoming for everybody. He's in a great mood, so that's
You're welcome.
yeah. So welcome everybody. My name is Reverend Clyde Goins. I'm the assistant minister here, and I want to welcome you here on this beautiful Sunday morning. And there is still some afterglow from our very fruitful and tiring and work hard event yesterday of our parking lot sale, but it was just fantastic. So a couple of quick announcements. First is we have Meet the Minister today after service. So if you're interested in meeting with Reverend Karen right after service, get some snacks, come into her office, and she'll be meeting with anybody that comes in there. We're talking about the spiritual, or what we believe, and also about our center. Also want to remind everybody that next Sunday is Easter, if you didn't remember. So next Sunday is Easter. And today we're having a potluck, and we're having hot dogs, leftover potlucks. And so, but I want to tell you guys, we have a lot of hot dogs. So if we don't eat them, we're going to be having hot dog potlucks for the next 3 months. Okay? So just saying. All right, so please join us with the potluck after service. We have a bunch of leftover baked items, so enjoy them. There's also prices on the baked items, but you can just ignore them. We're not going to charge you for them. But if you'd like to take some home with you, a little love offering would be much appreciative. So, all right, and then two more announcements. One is starting in May, so this is more of a save the date, we are going to be doing something a little different with our foundations, our next foundations class. So it's going to start in May, and we're going to be doing it on Sunday. So it's going to be after service on Sunday, and we'll be doing it here in the center. And then we'll be publishing the dates, and so it'll be available and it's going to be the foundation class, and it's a 4 week. We've condensed it into 4 weeks. So. And it's only once a month. So more to come on it, but I just wanted to plant that seed, and we're going to be nurturing it. The other class that we're starting is, it's not really a class, it's more of like a workshop. It's Meditation is More Than You Think. I just put the flyers out today, and we're actually doing 2 different meditation. It's the same class, but we're going to be doing an in-person one here on a Saturday. It's about 2 hours long, and then we're also going to do one on Tuesday evening on Zoom. So people, if they want to stay home and do it on Zoom, if you guys come to the center, I would recommend that you come in to the one on Saturday, because the in-person experience will be incredible. In addition to the 2-hour workshop that we're doing, or I'm doing, I'm going to also be offering 4 additional 1.5-hour workshops where we're going to be really focusing on 4 different meditation practices. So again, those will be available in person, or they'll be available online. More information to come on that. But we've got the flyers out, and I think we also have an announcement as well. So you can see we are still full of a lot of stuff going on, very exciting and wonderful, and so it makes me very, very happy. All right, so let's, I know that we modified our mission statement to make it easier for me to say now, so I'm very appreciative of it. So we are going to say our mission statements so we can get the service started. We are serving life by sharing transformational tools to help create. Yeah, I am still working at it. Okay, so now that we've said all that, so just sit back, relax, open up your hearts and minds for the Bradford's beautiful music and Reverend Karen's wonderful message. Thank you.
So just take a deep breath and relax as we move within.
I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
a quiet place within my mind. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know. I will make a quiet place, a quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
A quiet place where God resides in our hearts, minds, and souls, and in everything in this universe. It is all God. God is that love, that peace, that joy, the abundance and prosperity, and everything else that is good in life. It is all God. And God lives and moves and has its being in everything. That infinite presence that is with us. As we are one with that divine sweet spirit, we are one with God, expressing as all those beautiful qualities of God that reside within us, right here, right now. And I'm so grateful for this day at the West Valley Center for Spiritual Living, knowing that all of us in this sanctuary and all those watching online are the divine expressions of that beautiful God, that sweet spirit. And on this day, I give thanks and I bless everything in this service. I bless the Bradfords, knowing that their beautiful music touches our hearts and souls with that gorgeous harmony that they so eloquently provide. And for all the volunteers and all those that are in service today, knowing that they are in the perfect place right here, right now. And for Reverend Karen, knowing that her words that she speaks effortlessly flow through her, the words of God that just touch our hearts and souls, that we can take with us on our journey home today with that beautiful piece of knowledge, of wisdom that she gives us today. And for all other faith traditions, knowing that there are many paths to that one God. I am so grateful for this day, and I release my words into the action of universal law, knowing that it is already done, it is so, and together we say, and so it is. My reading today is from The Big Leap. Conquer Your Hidden Fear and Take Life to the Next Level by Gay Hendricks. Let me get to my spot here. Trying to do this left-handed, which is a challenge. So in it, he says, if you would like to make your journey to the zone of genius smooth and rapid, please take a moment to answer these questions. Am I willing to increase the amount of time every day that I feel good inside? Am I willing to increase the amount of time that my whole life goes well? Am I willing to feel good and have my life go well all the time? Now turn your attention to yourself. Did you answer yes to 3 questions I posed at the beginning of this chapter? If you did, you've taken the first crucial step in the journey. If you got a no or maybe, let's explore why you might resist the idea. When you consider the possibility of consistently feeling good and having things go well in your life all the time, you may find yourself thinking, that's not possible. If so, I understand. I once felt that way too. I urge you, though, not to waste much of your precious time worrying about whether it's possible. I've proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that it is. The only relevant question is whether you will let it be possible for you. If you would be willing to accept that possibility, you're on the way to experiencing real magic in your life. I've asked thousands of people if they would be willing to feel good and have things go well all the time, and I've had the great joy of watching what happens in their lives when they say yes. I would love for you to enjoy the same results, and it all starts with a sincere yes to those 3 questions. So let's take a moment to allow those words just to wash over us. And so it is.
Everything is beautiful in its own way, like a starry summer's night, a snow-covered winter's day. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, the world's gonna find a way. There is none so blind as he who will not see. We must not close our minds and let our thoughts be free.
For every hour that passes by, you know the world gets a little bit older. It's time to realize that beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder.
Everything is beautiful in its own way, like a starry summer night, snow-covered winter's day. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, the world's gonna find a way. We shouldn't care about the length of his hair or the color of his skin. Don't worry about what shows from without, but the love that lives within.
We're gonna get it all together. Everything's gonna work out fine. Just take a look on the good side, my friend, and straighten it out in your mind.
Everything is beautiful in its own way, like a starry summer night, snow-covered winter's day. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, the world's gonna find a way.
Oh, thank you, Bradfords. Oh my goodness, good morning. It's so wonderful to see all these beautiful people. You're right. They are really beautiful. Look at how pretty everybody is. You did. I'm going to start believing you one day. And by the way, Reverend Clyde, it was just an early April Fool's joke to give you the wrong thing to read again. It's not his fault. We keep trying to get it right. We're close though. We're really close. Do you think it's a sign that we shouldn't have shortened it? Oh, good morning. I'm Reverend Karen Rice, and I am the senior minister. I'm really happy to be here. And yes, I'm so tempted just to tell you for 20 minutes how great our event was yesterday, but I won't. And a lot of you were there, and I'm especially grateful to all the volunteers that actually showed up today. Thank you, because it was really hard work, and it really benefited the well-being of the center, and plus, we can have a doggone good time while we're working, as it turns out. And we aren't afraid of no weather. We know how to do things right. Although I don't think that line about the snowy day in that song, I think my sister in Michigan would have a little arguing with you to do, which is sort of what I want to talk about this morning and why we had the reading and the song choice, because I'm looking at the title of my message is New Encounters, and I want us to be looking at what happens when we're able to stretch our point of view a little bit and sort of get outside of our own box so that we can see that everything really is beautiful. It's not that tough things don't happen, it's that the reality of life is that it's so much greater, and there's such a perfect divine order and harmony that's always unfolding, and that's what I want to focus on this morning. So I took my quote, it's actually where I snatched the title of the message, a quote from Dr. Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of this teaching, The Science of Mind, and in his book, A New Design for Living, in the introduction to that book, I found this quote. Here's what he said. To establish your own new design for living, you will need to enlarge your viewpoint. You will need to develop an eagerness to encounter new ideas. So this now just it just fed me and inspired me. It's so much fodder for a much bigger conversation to establish our own, the storyline of our own life. We have to look for ways to expand what we see from where we stand. Because, I'm the center of my life, and you're the center of your life. But that gives us very different views as we're looking from our own point of reference. So we're going to have a little talk about it, and I'm really excited because I got here really early yesterday. I thought I was going to pray us in, and thank you, Mary McNabb, for already having done that. That was so great for me to come in and go, okay, well, before we do anything, how am I going to round them all up now? They're all busy working, and Mary had already done that. So thank you so much for bringing that consciousness into our event. And I got here early, but I had not written the talk for today yet. I had done all my research for it. I knew the direction I wanted to go. I knew what I wanted to say, but I hadn't written it yet. So at some point in the long part of the day, I snuck back into my office and I wrote this message for you right here, which I never do that. In fact, I don't know why. It takes me much longer at home. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if that was a good choice or not. But I'm pretty excited about it as in the way that it all came together. And here's what I notice about my own life. Sometimes new encounters are interesting, but very often they are not. Very often I'd rather be comfortable in what's old and familiar and comfortable for me. And so what takes me to many of the new encounters in my own life is a challenge. Right? You got to have a bump in a relationship or a shift in your finances, something that makes you stop and go, well, wait a minute, I'm not so comfortable right now. Uh-oh, what's up with this? And so it is from that sort of upset that I take a step back and I look at all the things going on in my own little world that I'm creating, and I get to make a choice. Is this time for me to consider a new way of doing something, or do I just want things to calm down so they can get back to whatever I might perceive normal to be? And I notice that it then becomes an opportunity to look at this idea that it is the challenge itself that welcomes the newness, that I might not ever discover new things if I wasn't challenged a little bit in life. And I think we get a little problematic in those areas where life changes and it wasn't really your choice, that the direction your life is going now wasn't really something you saw coming or planned, that we can be a little nostalgic for the past. You know how that is? You know, you feel you kind of miss it when things were easier and everybody got along or whatever your memory is. But, you know, we understand now that our memories are not so accurate. And in fact, it's really helpful for us to train ourselves to notice when we get that nostalgic kind of tenderness, that there's probably a bunch of parts we aren't remembering on purpose because there were also bumps in those roads too. So we have a selective memory and thinking that things could be better or more comfortable, they were more comfortable in the old days, that then feeds into that dualistic way of viewing the world, as if there's good and bad, or good and better, or really worse, or, you know, hot and cold, and all of those things that happen when we see life as pairs of opposites. It's very normal for us to do that. We live in finite bodies, right? We live in physical form. So of course if you stub your toe, there's a high probability you won't be happy about it, that there's going to be some negativity attached to it. I have been gosh, I'm almost afraid to say this because next week his name will be in the news, but I'm going to talk about, right? Wayne Dyer is a lot of us started, we sort of had the teething ring, and we learned to move through New Thought by reading people like Wayne Dyer and Ram Dass, some of the old greats. And Wayne Dyer was asked to speak at the religious science conferences pretty regularly. In fact, in all camps of what we call New Thought, unity or divine science, religious science, we will see Wayne Dyer books, and he would be often invited to be the keynote speaker. And toward the end of his life, he was very expensive to get to come to speak. And so I have heard him 2 or 3 times because I've been around a while. But in 2012, when we had our summer retreat up in Asilomar, Wayne Dyer was there filming. He made a New Thought movie that never quite took off I think he was hoping it would be like The Secret, but it wasn't. And but he was there on the grounds, and it kind of interfered with our routines during the day because they would be filming. And so if they were filming in the lodge, we wouldn't be allowed in the lodge for the whole rest of the afternoon. Or if they were filming in the meadow where we used to like to hike, we couldn't be in the meadow, and all the photographers would, we couldn't get in the background. And so as a gift to us, he was not even going to speak for us. They bumped the keynote speaker to a lesser time, and they gave him the premier time, and he spoke to us for free, and it was really a great moment. But what I want to tell you, one of my memories about Wayne Dyer is something very clever that he did. And I watched him do this, so it made a big impression on me. He was speaking, and he stopped, and he pulled out his wallet, and he said, "I keep something in my wallet. I have a little note in here," and he dug it out, and it was well worn, and it was folded, and it was written in his own handwriting, and it said, "This too shall pass." Right? And he said, "And I keep this in my wallet, and I have trained myself that when life is really difficult, when I'm going through some kind of fire that really scares me, some kind of reshaping or a big change, and when that frightens me, I look at this note, I dig it out, and it's in my own handwriting, and I remind myself that this is not forever. This is just change, and that this too is passing." But his wisdom comes with what he said next. "And when my life is really shining and I'm on top of the world and something celebratory has just happened, I have trained myself to pull out my wallet and open my note and remind myself that this too shall pass." So it's such a profound lesson in the way life is moving. So in Kay's reading, it's not like that. I would have to disagree with him saying it can be like that all the time. It can be like that all the time when you learn to know that the things that are hard just came to pass. And so I happen to remember, as I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to put that in my talk, I happen to remember reading many times that in fact, is it a coincidence that it says this too shall pass in the Bible 365 times? Is that a coincidence? No, it's one for every day. But before I thought I could say that, because now you know we have AI. So I went to my computer this morning and I asked AI, is it true that it's in the Bible 365 times? And I'm disappointed to tell you, you probably don't even want to know this. No, it is not. It's in the Bible 396 times. So one for every day and then some extras to remind us of that. So isn't it fun to look at those ideas? So your perspective and your point of view depends on all the ways in which you know where you stand when you look out on life. And we want to then find a way to be centered because you are the center of your own life, and so is everybody else. So we're going to see things differently. But I was thinking what a good spiritual lesson it would be to imagine that it's like a spinny, lazy Susan. That you could spin your perspective a little bit. You can you can pivot just enough to get a slightly different view and maybe see how your neighbor looks at this or that, or why your partner chose to do this when you were hoping he or she would do that. You know, it's just because we're all just that much a little tiny bit different. What happens in that way that it looks like things are shifting and changing all the time is that we have that need to get secure and stabilized. Let's put more order in our home. Notice when your life is in chaos, you really crave order again. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. So I was thinking of that time when I have 4 grown children and a bunch of great-grands and grands and all over the place. And there was a period in my life where my life was really unstable because all 4 of my kids were teenagers at the same time. There was a really short window, and I would say I was the most insane for those months and years where there was just that mentality of teenagers kind of running the show. Because, man, they want to be independent more than anything, and that's when, everything shifts and changes. And I remember that my battle was like, couldn't we just have dinner? Could we just all have dinner together? The truth was, if I had a thought about it, I probably didn't even really want to eat with them anymore. But nonetheless, I'm trying to be a good mom here and keep us all together, and it didn't help. It didn't help any of our relationships when you try and stabilize things that are constantly shifting, changing, and moving. We had an excellent example of that very thing yesterday. So, it's been hot. It's been unusually hot. We all know that. But we had the most glorious breeze that happened all day yesterday. So here we are in this parking lot. It's the first time ever where we invited vendors to come, and so we didn't have to do all the work. It was so amazing. And still it was like this huge love fest. And oh my gosh, the Bradfords just came and donated their time and did what they do for work. They sang to us and they kept the spirits of everybody up. You promoted the church beautifully. Is there anybody here who's never been here before but came because the Bradfords said you should be here? Oh, look at all those people raising their hands. A couple. Okay, well, they got time. They don't have to come today. They can be here whenever. But thank you so much for doing that. It was just such a great gift of love. And I think what charges me the most is that when Rod says, this is my community, you said it too, Kathy, this is our community. We love this community. We're happy to be here. Come join us. And yeah, I love you guys so much. I'm so happy we had the vision that you could be ours. And in my opinion, this too shall never pass. You have to be here forever. Forever. Thank you very much. so we have all these easy ups, and every now and then a gust of wind would come, and you could see a bunch of people would run to their tent legs, to hold their kiosks and their little easy ups in place and not have them blow away, or their stuff would, the lightweight stuff would just blow with the gust of wind. At one point, Kathy lost her music notes, and somebody ran off and retrieved it for you. It was really kind of cool. But here's what I think happened yesterday. I think a whole bunch of spiritual-minded people that planned that event prayed. And they prayed for good weather. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. I never pray for good weather. Because what I think is good weather might not necessarily be good for the next guy. And in fact, I notice that I am kind of the odd man out often in weather-related situations. I would never live in the snow, by the way. No, I just couldn't. You couldn't make me. I did for a little window. I lived in the South. Ooh, that was scary and cold. The seasons are pretty, though. And so people were scrambling in those gusts of wind. They would jump in and to stabilize or try and hold their product in place so it wouldn't blow away, or they had to run out and retrieve it and then restack their tables. And so I noticed that the breeze felt good for some and was problematic for other people. And in this way, we can see that our points of view can make us scramble just to try and keep order in the greater whole of it all. So if I take you back now to that opening quote from Dr. Ernest Holmes, Holmes said that before we can encounter new ideas, we have to enlarge our point of view. This is a thought that is commonly used by not just spiritual teachers, philosophers through the ages. We have heard these same concepts, these ideas of how helpful it is to be able to stretch your consciousness to take in more than just what you see right in front of you. In fact, I think in a modern day way, Obi-Wan Kenobi said it well. I'm gonna quote Obi-Wan Kenobi. You are going to find that many of the truths that we cling to depend greatly on our point of view. Many of the truths that we cling to. There is a naughty adjective just went through my mind. There is a lot of people clinging to what they believe. And so I love that idea that we're enlarging our point of view. We are always evolving. We are always becoming. And so there's shifting and changing even in our own lives. And there then is this value in an effort on our part individually to stay as open-minded as we possibly can. Because your world view, what you believe about the world, what you believe about the universe, what you believe about humanity, which just disheartens me because so many people that used to feel a higher level of confidence in people are now saying, but I just don't like people. And I want us to work on that. I really want to put an invitation out there for, I know there are a lot of people I don't enjoy spending time with right now. And I'm sure they don't like spending time with me much right now either, because we think differently and we have different views. But as we begin to heal those things, we expand what's possible for everybody. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Robert. I needed a good amen right in there, right about there. So if you think life should not have the ups and downs that you sometimes have to go through, you want to look at that, because you might be the person that is constantly standing at your table outside trying to stabilize all your things so that the wind doesn't blow them away. Or you might become that parent that's trying to stabilize 4 teenagers at the same time, an impossible task, and making everybody else miserable just because I need a greater sense of order in my life. I did eventually. That was about the time I started meditation practice, by the way. And I used to go in my little bitty bathroom in the back of the house and close the door and tell them not to bother me, and that was where I learned to meditate. Isn't that great? You take your challenge and you make something out of it. Or like, so I read somebody famous said, the black and blue thumb is the very thing that makes for a fine carpenter. Right? You get skilled and you don't want to hurt yourself anymore, so you get more refined at how skilled you are in moving through all those things. You know, they say that people who have a connection to a spiritual community, or people that pray regularly, or people that meditate on a regular basis, they say that people that have some kind of commitment to spirituality in their lives tend to be more optimistic, more hopeful, and a little bit healthier. And so they have all these studies now that give us these great truths that we're learning why that happens and how and all of that. But I want to emphasize a point here, and that is that this is not just about being a more positive thinker. It's so much more than optimism. It is something more about a commitment that where an individual makes a dedicated intention to be open to spiritual ideas. And the more we're open to spiritual ideas, the more we learn to move with a greater sense of flow. Now, we understand from neuroscience, the brain studies they've been doing, especially all this stuff they did with the imaging. Remember when all that stuff first came out? The neuroimaging of the brain, the researchers have looked at that to see how it relates specifically to religious or esoteric or, just spiritual ideas in general. And what they have found is that there's a circuit in the prefrontal as well as the parietal lobes of the brain that, do you see how I did that like I really know where all that stuff is? I have no idea where any of that is, but it's a good fake out, huh? And so there's a circuit in those places that regulates our ability to assess what's going on in our own life. So it's it's a level of consciousness, and we talk about that a lot in spirituality. But it's that place where you are more likely to get personal insights that will benefit you. It's like, oh, I did that didn't feel right, so I'm going to try and do that a little better the next time. Or setting goals. It's all that stuff in the same area of your brain is accountable for it. But this now is where it gets really juicy, especially if you're a minister. This is where this stuff really excites me. I always think of people like Ernest Holmes and Eric Butterworth and Joel Gold. Oh, they would love all this stuff. They would just sit back all confident and go, yep, knew it, told you. The researchers have said this: gentle forms of contemplative meditation, gentle forms of contemplating, of having a sitting practice where you're sitting still. So what that tells me is I don't have to twist my body up and sit on the floor for 45 minutes without moving, and then I can't stand. It'll take me another 40 minutes to be able to get up off the ground, I guess. No, I would do better than that. I would. But it's a gentle form of some kind of contemplation and meditation, along with, this part knocks my socks off, focused prayer. What is focused prayer? Well, we teach that. This is really right out of New Thought. We have been teaching that there are alternative ways to, we've been trying to take what Jesus said and give it to people in a new package where we're not just begging to be forgiven for how awful we are. And so what we know is that when we take time, and I would say in any of the classes we teach here, certainly in the foundation class, you take time to go through what we call the steps of spiritual mind treatment. The first step is that you just set aside all this stuff going on in your life and you remember that God is right where you are. That's the most important thing we can do, is just stop right where we are and go, wait a minute. Not only shall this pass also, but that God is right here, right where I am. In every situation, in every predicament, in every beautiful sunrise, in every bird that flies in the sky, and in every piece of junk that doesn't look like it belongs, God is not missing in any way. And so we start there, and then the next step is that we unify with it. We find that way to see that, oh my gosh, and I'm one with all of this. And then we begin convincing ourselves of whatever it is that we have chosen to pray about. We include that important step of giving thanks, which also, through the benefits of all the research that's happened in neuroscience, we understand how life-changing just a gratitude practice can be. And then we release it. And we release the prayer, the words. We release it and we let go so that God, the law, the movement of divine order can come to us. And now back to that reading, that yesing. That's the opening. That's the receiving of the good that we do. So I love this idea. The gentle forms of contemplation and meditation and focused prayer will stimulate the area of your brain that makes you more aware of your feelings and your thoughts. And what happens when you're more aware of your feelings and your thoughts is that you will be more likely to be accountable for how you show up. You won't want to be separated from people. You won't be looking for how different they are from you, and you will thereby not be geared up waiting for that gust of wind that's going to knock you over. You can let down your defenses and you can interact with people in a kinder way. And here's the part that I really, really love. The regular sitting practice, a regular sitting practice or a form of contemplation, mindfulness, will promote kindness and forgiveness. This is the message of the Gospels. This is the message of all the great teachers, that there has to be a way we can get back to being kind, where we can practice forgiveness with each other and look at our life from a different perspective. There has to be a way that we can stop protecting ourselves from each other. And on those days where you can't do that, where you really feel frightened and defensive over just little things, sometimes it creeps in and we don't even notice. But if you notice that, then you can just breathe. And those are days where I can say to myself, if I notice that, then just try to do no harm today. Just be as kind as you can. You know, maybe I'm not going to be out there socializing in the parking lot with everybody if I'm in a foul mood. Somebody said to me yesterday, somebody that hasn't seen me in a while said, "You're in such a good mood today." And I went, what does that really mean? I was singing and I thought, but I sing all the time. I'm sorry, but I do. I sing a lot. So, you know, all these great thinkers, Wayne Dyer and Ernest Holmes and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and all the brain scientists, they all agree if we change our life, we change our thinking. When we change our thinking, we then change our life. And in order to change our thinking, we have to look at our life from a slightly different perspective so we can see things that we haven't noticed before. So I do this about once a year in here. I'm going to do it right now. Wherever you are, if you're sitting at home in your own environment, if you are sitting in a coffee shop with your earpods, what do you call them? Yeah, earbuds. Or if you're sitting here in the sanctuary right now, I want you to look around this room and find something you have never noticed before. And for those of you in the room, somebody tell me what you saw that you'd never seen in here before. Everything. Oh, well, because you're new. Welcome. There are some new faces. We're glad you're here. Tell me something you've seen, Jill.
Well, because of yesterday, the drink. I never really thought about it or noticed it.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed it, but it
Yeah.
makes more now that I saw the rest of the bowl.
Yes, yes. And do you know that I bought that bolt of fabric at a yard sale And I came to church, and somebody had rearranged we used to have this symbol. Oh, we used to have this symbol right here, and I had named it as I needed it moved. It didn't, with our new everything, I needed it moved. They had moved it, but it left a big ugly hole up at the top. And I went, oh no, service is tomorrow. What are we going to do? We have to cover that big ugly hole somehow. And I remembered I had that bolt of fabric. I had just purchased it. I went home and got it. I called a couple of friends, and we came over and we did this to be temporary. And it ended up being something we were very fond of. So, yeah, great. One more. Somebody else. What did you see that you haven't ever seen before?
There's a new thing over there that the Bradfords have with the music symbol on it.
Oh, something new up by the musicians. And then I saw another hand. Who else? Yes, Ginny. The globe. That globe has been there since the pandemic. I brought that globe in from home during the pandemic so we could pray for the world. You just can't see it all. And it's like that. I was married for 50 years. He surprised me all the time. I didn't necessarily love it, but sometimes it was good. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Oh, God, I adore Emerson. Not easy to read, but I love Emerson. Emerson said it is the eye that makes the horizon. It is the eye that makes the horizon. Think about what that means. There's no horizon. It doesn't exist. When you move, it moves. Right? So if I'm sitting at the beach, if I'm sitting on the side of the ocean, and I'm looking out at the beautiful sea, and it's not foggy, there is a distinct line that divides the sea from the sky. Everybody that's ever painted a picture makes a distinct line. It's maybe the first thing you draw on the art paper. Am I right, Karen? Yeah. So it is our seeing it and the way we translate it that makes it into something, but really it's nothing, and what you focus on is what becomes most real to you. So when we lived at the beach and I would walk down to do my morning meditation practice and sit on my favorite rock out at shore, I would get down there, and depending on where the tide was, if the tide was out and the ocean wasn't too alive with big waves, there was a rock that was shaped like a chair, and I could get to it, except that I had to jump over a crevice, a very deep crevice, in order to do it. But I loved doing it so much that I did it every chance I got. Some days I would take a pillow because that rock would get really hard if you sit there too long. I would take a sack lunch, and I would sit on my rock, and I would journal, and I would contemplate, and I would meditate, and I would pray, and I loved being out there. And every day I saw something different because the conditions are different every day. You know, the clouds or the activity going on. So some days I would really want to see a whale, and I knew if I stared out there long enough, I'd eventually see a spout. And then if I kept my eye on what direction the whales were migrating, I could anticipate where he might breach or she might breach, because it's the mothers, I think, who came up that part of the coast a lot. And it would be so delightful to see the whales. But one day I was sitting there, and it was a fairly calm day, and the water was pretty far out, but it was very clear water that wasn't bouncing around. And I had never, ever seen, but the rocks right in front of where I sat were covered in bright orange starfish. What an amazing experience. And so I'm really absorbed that day in studying the starfish and looking at the other things that I then noticed I could see in the clear water. And I probably did not see the little otter playing near me or the school of dolphins over there. So all of that stuff, from my perspective, does not exist if I don't see it. So you can know it's there, but if you don't see it, you have not had an experience of it. So some days it was the starfish, not very often. Other days, it would be a great whale encounter or multiple whales. Sometimes the dolphins, you never knew. And the pelicans, you never knew what was going to be the thing that took your eye away from the horizon and reminds us the greatness of life and the immensity of life within life. I was thinking that if that's true, that we all have points of view, then does that mean, can we say that we're all judgmental and opinionated? And I want to say that my quick answer to that question is yes, we kind of are. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But I thought, I wonder what AI would say. So I asked AI, since everybody has a point of view, does that mean we're all judgmental and opinionated? And AI gave me a really decent answer. Of course, we know it might not be true, but we're all smart now. We all know that. And AI said that this is just a natural part of our humanity. Having an opinion is a part of how we can interact with each other, and it's a part of our communication process. And when I read that, I thought, well, yeah, I mean, there are times where me and Kay are here in the office, and I'll tell her what I'm thinking about in a given minute, and then suddenly, as I'm telling her and watching her reaction, I start wondering, do I still believe that, though? You know, is that still my truth, or am I ready to kind of look at it from a new angle? And sometimes it's what we say back to each other that gives us that space to expand what we know. Usually me and Kay just look it up and make, you know, we like the facts, and then we like to go, but why? But it's a way that we communicate with each other. And here's what AI went on to say. When we become rigid in our opinions, then we begin to refuse to consider other views. And when we refuse to consider other people's views, that is then when we are lacking in our critical thinking skills and we become more narrow-minded. And I thought, I'm so glad I looked that up. I'm so glad AI worded it just that way, because it reminds me, if I'm too set on needing somebody to agree with me, that maybe there's still another way that I can look at it and grow. I don't have to change my mind, but I certainly can grow. Richard Rohr, gosh, I'm in love with Richard Rohr right now. Why didn't you guys tell me how much I would enjoy him? When we argue with dualistic thinkers, we become more dualistic. Wow, we need to hear that right now. When we argue with dualistic thinkers, we become more dualistic. And that's something I want to be aware of. So I'm going to notice, if I'm defending my opinions and all that, I'm just going to notice that there's a way I can soften, and a way I can sort of see it in a gentler perspective. And then I found this quote from Hermann Hesse. I really like him. He is weird. Don't go read him if you don't already love him. Don't go read him. He's very strange. I did my English comp year-end project, the big paper, the composition paper you have to write. I did it on Hermann Hesse's The Hunger Artist. It was brutal. It was really hard. But Hermann Hesse says a lot of really cool things. He's a deep thinker, and he said this: new insights begin beyond pairs of opposites. So these are important thoughts to ponder. These are things that can help us stretch and expand. I think what I like about the Hermann Hesse quote is that when he says that the new insight happens after you've been stuck in the pairs of opposites. Well, what that tells me is every conflict I encounter is an invitation for me to see something in a new way. Imagine every time you're uncomfortable in a conversation or in something you've seen on the news, or you know, gosh, wouldn't it be nice if our family members just at least agreed with our same politics? It would be life would woo. But that then is, you cannot get a new insight if you haven't first had some kind of paradoxical confrontation. Like, whoa, what do I do with that? Your old existing thoughts have to be like questioned. So, new insights come from new encounters. when I was sitting at my desk yesterday, a short while ago, I always think it's interesting that I know what I'm going to talk about for a week. You know, I don't think about it till this week. Now I'll start thinking about what I'm going to say for Easter. And then it's really fascinating to see what God will drop into my inbox, what kind of fodder life will bring to me to share with you. And so I have to say I was very happy I didn't read this quote next week, because it would have made me sad to have missed it. It's so good for today's topic. Richard Rohr said, "Being conscious means having a new encounter with your own story." That's everything. Being conscious, knowing that those brain studies are showing that when we meditate, we are more conscious, we are more accountable for our behavior. That when you practice meditation, it increases your compassion and your ability to forgive. These are scientifically, these are statements coming out of the scientific world about our potential. So yes, I have been saying ever since those days when I went in, hid in my little bathroom to meditate, everybody needs to sit still for a little while. And so I'm going to close this morning by going back to the book by Ernest Holmes, A New Design for Living. In the introduction, he closes it with these words. As you are designing your own story, those are my words, he says, have joy. Have joy while you're doing that. Try always to keep your life on the lighter side. Oh, I need that so much. Do not think that everything has to be learned in a minute. And this one's for you, Dr. K. And do not become discouraged if all things can't be accomplished in a single day. Love you. Keep a good-natured flexibility. So there you have it. That is what I wanted to say today. Namaste. Have a blessed one. So we will move from head to heart. We will take a moment for focused prayer. And we begin always by recognizing that right where we are is the fullness of Spirit itself. I feel that essence of knowing that God is love. And I sense that way that God is the infinite intelligence of all the universe. And therefore, there is something all-knowing, something perfect about that presence. And I feel the love of God within me as the activity of life. So right now, everything is in perfect order. From this new perspective of recognizing that we are one with that one mind of God, that we are unified with that essence of wisdom and infinite intelligence, and thereby we are given everything we need. We are sourced in this very sacred and holy way to have all of our needs met, because the horizon is just an image. That the reality of life is that this life is divine, and that as nature shows us again and again, there is an abundance of all things, and that there is this perfection always desiring to reveal itself in higher and higher ways. So I feel that love as an activity of goodness. I align myself to have that ability to pivot to understand the symbolism of ebb and flow and of waxing and waning, of things that come and things that go, but in the truth of all of it, everything comes to pass because something new is being delivered in the very next moment. So we open ourselves to this wonderful truth that we ourselves are becoming, that something on this planet is emerging, that there are new ideas, there are new encounters, there is holy newness everywhere around us. And as I feel grateful for understanding these ideas in a much deeper and more personal way, something within me shifts and changes, and I feel and sense a quickening. And what I know is it is that sacred holiness that is revitalizing itself in our very body, in our physical beings. And so there has to be a healing going on right now, that as individuals are hearing these words, that our physical bodies are responding and realigning and reinvigorating, so that there is this gorgeous natural movement of life within us. There is no constriction, there is no blockage, there are no false growths in us. There is only this truth, this beautiful divine light revealing itself even now. And I know that this then spills into our relationships. So wherever there has been a sense of brokenness or apartness, that there is a healing there as well. There is a coming together. There is a wholeness that is revealed from a higher perspective, from that divine perspective, where we recognize the goodness of God is freely given to us. It is grace itself. And I know then that this ripples out into our spiritual community, and that the blessings of joy that we experienced yesterday, the things that we have spoken about this morning, that all of it comes together in this gorgeous way that we might understand how connected we really are and how wonderfully we need each other, how we can be good together when we rise for a sacred purpose. And to know that this then blesses the financial well-being of this community just is another reason for us to be grateful. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, infinite spirit. We say yes. We say yes to life. We open ourselves to be vessels to receive that good, to receive that grace, where we can then pass it on to others. And so in a spirit of deep, heartfelt gratitude, I simply release the words of this prayer into that law that has already provided every good gift. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Amen.
Grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. Everywhere I look and every face I see is love reflected, shining back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, the joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have.
All right, thank you, Bradford. So I just want to remind everybody about the hot dog upstairs. Well, there's hot dogs, plenty of hot dogs. Also, if you would like to pray with the practitioner, Ms. Kay Fontaine is available right here after service. If you can come up here to a call to prayer, and she's available for prayer. She loves to pray. We love to pray with you. And then It's the time to celebrate the abundance of our community as well as the abundance of ourselves. So we have our drop boxes, our donation boxes on the way to Petke Hall where the hot dogs are. Also in the back of the room, and then also out on Holmes Bay. So we appreciate all of your gifts and your donations and your tithes that support our community. So we're going to say our giving affirmation together, and I know this one. So let's say it together. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Tell me about the boxes, the black box. Did you already do that?
Yeah.
I missed it?
Yeah.
Please rise for our last song. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Sing that with me. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. I'm thinking about my problems. I'm living now. I'm living now. And I ain't gonna worry about the future. I'm living now. I'm living now. So put your hands up if you feel like having a good time. Put your hands up if you're sharing love with all. And raise your cup if you're hopeful for tomorrow. Put your hands up if you're ready to have some fun. Sing it with me. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. One more time. Oh, it feels so good to be alive.
Ooh, all right. Feels good to be alive. So let's say our closing affirmation. Repeat after me. I know my new encounters
My new encounters
is life's invitation for me to grow. And so it is.